Welcome to another episode of Tjoma. So basically, Tjoma means the journey of my artistry, and this series basically is me sharing the journey of my art from when I started to now, the ups, the downs, the beauty, and I think in the process I get to share what I've learned from this whole experience. So basically today, like we said last week, I will be looking at I'll be critiquing my old designs, very old designs, and a few pointers, things I didn't know then that I know now and I'm applying now, and a couple of new recent designs and why and the inspiration behind those designs. So I hope you guys would enjoy this. All right, so now let's dive in. So we're going to start with this one here, the Worshippers Oil Conference, right? And this I did this design like back in 2015 now. So a couple of things were wrong with this design, right? One, there was my typography skill here was like zero, right? And there were a lot of issues here. One, too much text, no emphasis, no pointers, no direction, no leading, and I used multiple fonts, and that was like spoiler, like bad. So I think a couple of things that have been done better was to reduce the number of fonts I use, and then chosen which text I wanted to read first, or the viewers to read first before the others. And then the color combination was a little funny. Also, I did not take into consideration the style of type of font and the artwork, if they were together, if they married, if they worked perfectly in harmony. So this was a major flop, and I've learned my lesson. So this is the first one. So the second one I did here was for a bake and food sale fundraiser. Now see this, the bake and food is good, quite all right, but the sale fundraiser was justified to the right. So normally, if from here, I think this was what I was trying to do then, I was trying to, the flow would have been everything centralized. So this kind of made the whole poster design kind of tilting to one side and had a couple of discrepancies in it. So couple of errors here. One, too many fonts. This was, I think this is Walt Disney font. I can't remember what font this is. This is like two fonts. This is the third one. So it was all fonts. I was also enjoying myself with fonts because I love fonts. I just want to play with something nice, but I wasn't considering if it worked. So the key thing to note here is ask yourself, does the font work with the art piece you're trying to create? So that was my biggest mistake. Also, you could see here at the 8mileproject.org, you can see that that title was too big. The logo had multiple colors. I could have done a monochrome on it, like slapped white on it and stuff like that. So I think that was a big flop to the design. Apart from that, I think I tried. You could give me credit for that. I tried with the background picture. Yeah, I tried a couple of few effects here, but I think this would have been way better. So I think this is back 2014, so long time ago, but I've grown. So now I'm going to take you to my most recent design. I think this design is like 2 days old or a day old, okay? And this is it, Ahava. So this, I was trying to create worship, to depict worship in it, and all I could think of was the lifting of hands. You get, I wanted to signify and capture that moment, that lifting of hands moment. So I just took a simple picture that had that, and I wanted to have a centralized feel, a minimalist feel, something simple, something that wasn't too noisy. And like you see, unlike the other ones, the mistakes that were made here, I didn't make them here. Like one, you could read it, the first thing you see when you look at this is a hand and Ahava. Before you come down to, it's the tribe that is running this, and then from there you now gone down to an evening of worship and prayer, date, time, text, and all this I just used two fonts. Ahava had its own font, and this other text, this was Montserrat, its own font. So similar, the style was simple with the grungy grayish background, and everything works perfectly. So that's for that. Then lastly, okay, I think this is the most recent one. Yeah, this is Tribe Z poster for church, and this was, I think behind this I just wanted to create, the whole mystical, who am I identity, what am I standing for, and all that. So like you can see here, the text "who am I" is the first thing you see. The slash i's confuse identity, you can get that. Then I decided to put the date at the top right, the address at the bottom right, and if you could see, the whole thing kind of has a balance to it. The text is on the right, the logo is on the left, and this is in the center. So with a whole playing with a lot of white space, something simple, minimalist. So over the years, I have learned to make my designs more simple, more what do you call it, more intentional, not all about what I want. And the key thing I learned during this whole process was to separate my emotions from the design. I think that's a key tip here, separating your emotions from the design. Because you love it, the question you should ask yourself is, does it work? Does it work with what you want to do? Does it pass the message effortlessly? Because at the end of the day, the whole thing about design is solving visual problems, right? And you will get challenges like this, but you need to learn to put your emotions, your style, your preferences, and work with what works for the design. So you could see these 4 designs all laid out here, and you could see that there's a difference between the ones on the right here and the ones on the left here. You get, so those are the two. This is what we'll look at today, basically. So I think a quick reminder: 1, learn to use as little. Well, try not to use more than 2 fonts in your design. It makes it too busy when you do that. Keep it simple. Make it more interactive. Make your design interactive. Make someone want to go dive in more into what you're doing in the design. So I think between this 214 and 219, you could see the difference, and you could see how much more I've applied the things I have learned over the years. So so for me, you will still meet challenges in terms of design. That's but you need to learn to accept them as a designer and see them as a way to grow. You get, it's like eating a meal every day and over and over again. It gets boring. Sometimes you need a little bit of spice. You get, so when you see a challenge in a design or a constraint in a design, accept it. It helps you expand. That's how I grow as a designer. That's how I was able to transform from the right to the left. You get, this constraint, when I had to take away these elements, how can I make this more simple and how can I make it work? That is when I started refining my ideology of design. That's how I started refining how I thought about design, and that's how I'm here. So next week we're going to be looking at colors. I'm going to bring out a couple of posters that I know I had lots of color issues, past and present. So I'm basically critiquing my own designs, not any other person's designs, and I want us to learn from my mistakes. So hope you guys enjoyed today's session, and don't forget to drop a comment, like, and tell me what you think. And if you have questions or things you want me to focus on in the future episodes, let me know and I'll get right back to you. Peace.